The New Zealand Grand Prix ran at Manfeild over February 8th to the 10th this year, starting with Mazda Pro 7 Racing. We see the happy birthday Bob as Bob Smith turns 64 this weekend. Here we are for the grid of the Mazda Pro 7 race, featuring the Series 1 RX-7s and the Plus cars. So here we are, ready for a race start now. Matt Carkeek on pole, Dean McMillan on second. Great start there from the guys as these guys launch off down to turn 1 to Toyota. We see the Series 1 cars following close behind, and then immediately now into the screenshot of the MX-5. So 3 classes racing in one series here, all racing for different titles. So Plus cars and Series 1 cars racing for New Zealand titles, and Dean McMillan is definitely looking like the leader here. We see him passing Miles Fothergill, chasing Matt Carkeek into the S's here. A good aggressive start there from Miles. He's going to have a good look down the inside, and we'll see if he can hold that race lead. Looking further back, we see the Series 1 cars and the Bob Smith car there, the blue one just out of shot, followed by our local MX-5 series cars there as well. Heading up into the hairpin, it's still a busy field. As you can see, bits of dust all coming off here. A few laps further in, Dean McMillan's now got a commanding lead. He's made a good pass on Matt Carkeek around the back of the track, and Miles Fothergill was not far behind him. So Dean showing all his class here in this Plus car. He's raced NZV8s, and he is really the man to beat in this class. Condolences go out to the Lighting Plus team of Matt Gibson, who was looking like he was leading the points in the series, but unfortunately due to a car failure could not start the last race. Dean McMillan then heading into Higgins. He's got a good lead. He's going to be very hard to beat from this point here. Bob Smith just in the foreground in Series 1. He is also very hard to beat in that class, and also went on to win the New Zealand title in that Series 1 class. Huge field, huge colour, and of course the South Island Series 1 RX-7s all coming up, having a go at the title. We're seeing a few of these guys pass through. There's the unlucky Matt Gibson, followed closely by Marky Braid and his MX-5. We see the last lap board coming out. It's going to be very hard to beat the boys now. So we're waiting to see. Dean McMillan had a commanding lead, and like I say, he was definitely the man to beat this weekend. So Bob Smith also got away in the Series 1 cars. We're watching now as they come off Pepsi Max for the last time. Dean McMillan, beautiful win there, beautiful car, and a fantastic race victory. So New Zealand Championship title goes to Dean McMillan, followed by Matt Carkeek and Miles Fothergill. And then also on the Series 1 cars, Bob Smith. So congratulations, guys. A New Zealand clean sweep for the New Zealand Mazda Pro 7 Series title. Also featuring the New Zealand Grand Prix this weekend with us Fujitsu Classics. This class provides an enormous amount of variety and colour as we see the huge field streaming down the front straight. So we're looking here at Petru Elliott and his beautiful 64 Mustang carving his way through the smaller capacity cars. As you can see, it's back to the old days, David versus Goliath, big versus small, as he makes the pass on Bill Cottle going into Toyota corner. In the foreground, we see Graham Montgomery's little Datsun 1200, a man who's been racing locally for a long, long time, but come out of retired, especially for the New Zealand Grand Prix event. We see petrol go right around the outside as the big Mustang swoops by the Datsun heading into the S's here. Great racing here from the classic cars with a huge variety of cars, all putting on a great show. These cars race in the Manawatu Motorsport Winter Series and are beautifully presented and a great group of guys. We see here again as petrol just swallows up the Mini, up the intermediate straight. It reminds you, certainly it goes right back to the 60s when the boys were in full swing. We look up ahead to the next gaggle of cars as petrol is starting to get that Mustang wound up. He's got a lot of work to do, but again, about 324 horsepower on tap of this Mustang. He's going to use all of those down the back straight and certainly catch him up. An interesting car in the class is also this of Mike Dixon, painted up like the Lightning McQueen car from the Cars movie. So every sticker painstakingly reproduced to look exactly the same as Lightning McQueen. This car has really been a great showstopper for all the kids. There we see the race come down across the line there. Beautiful racing from the classics, great cars, and a great result for the New Zealand Grand Prix. Preceding the New Zealand Grand Prix was an earlier race for the TRS cars. So again, in this race here, huge international field, and the outcome of this race would actually go on to affect the series with some incidents and some post-race penalties applied to some of the leading drivers. In this race here, our local driver, Nick Cassidy, was going to start on 6th, a position he wasn't particularly looking forward to. However, a good field started the race, and we'll just watch the highlights of this race before the Grand Prix actual. As we watch the cars and the teams move away from the pit wall now, the drivers are building up to maximum revs, waiting for the race start. These cars, very, very difficult to get off the line. Small race clutches and a huge amount of revs. So you'll see the cars, they'll basically be sitting here, waiting for the 5 red lights. Here they come, and then it'll be instantly away. Huge acceleration, huge downforce. That's a great start right back from about row 8 from Stein Stohorth, one of the international drivers. He's been improving all season long. He's come from about position 8 right up to 3rd. You see smoke and a little bit of carnage in there, but nonetheless, all the cars have made it safely through the first turn. So as we look now, we see Stein's got a huge run there. He's ended up from 8th into 3rd, and he battles into the Splash S's here. This race would go and have a safety car at around about lap 9, which had put one of the other cars out. The penalties, as we said earlier, went on to affect the overall TRS series, but didn't affect the Grand Prix starting positions, as that had been preset with the Grand Prix qualifying sessions. So we see here Felix Serrales drives away from this race to win it comfortably over a 15-lap period. Going into the back straight now, still Felix is holding that lead. Great start from him. He's going to be extremely difficult to beat over the small, short sprint race. Towards the end of the race, this is the car that brought out the safety car thing and the incident. So the penalties from the crash went on to affect the TRS series really badly, and some of the international drivers were not particularly happy after the pre-race comments. Just before the Grand Prix, the cars are all in the Manfeild pit lane garages getting prepared. So all the mechanics and teams making last-minute adjustments to the cars. Number 9 was got to be driven by Mitch Evans for this race. It was the veteran Kenny Smith who stepped in to fill in the space for Mitch, had been dragged away to other international driving duties. So Ken, undoubtedly the oldest man in the race, is looking forward to starting 50 New Zealand Grand Prix, somewhat of a record. We see here all the drivers just before the Grand Prix getting their helmets off and getting a photograph. So just to recognise the team of 2013 and what a team it's been. These guys have raced from one end of the country to the other 5 weekends in a row, and some of these names will definitely head off to international driving positions, and they'll be names to watch out for the future. We also see on the left Chris Amon, of course one of New Zealand's favourite motor racing drivers, located out at Bulls these days, also part of the TRS series. We see the cars on the grid now lining up, just the final preparations before the Grand Prix starts. This is a 35-lap race, extremely intensive. These young men are going to be fit, and they're going to need every ounce of fluid they're going to get in there. And, of course, we just see them being buckled up there, making those final adjustments to the car. It's going to be an exciting 35 laps. Here they are now forming up onto the grid. Favourite for the race would have to be Nick Cassidy. He's on grid number 2. So number 2, of course, grid position 2 is going to put you in the clean spot on the track here. So that is the traditional racing line. There's plenty of rubber down. On pole, it's going to be extremely difficult to get away because there is dirt and dust and debris all over the track. So it'll be interesting to see how the start goes. If Nick Cassidy can get a good jump, he's going to be extremely difficult to keep out from position 2. Last minute adjustments there. Looking at the field. Revs are up. Here they go. Started New Zealand 2013 New Zealand Grand Prix, and they're away. Nick Cassidy has got a huge jump from grid number 2. It's a clean start from all the drivers, with all the drivers making it down through turn 1. Coming across for the first of 35 lap, Nick Cassidy leads. He's gone. It's going to be very difficult to catch him from this position. The first of the safety cars, there were 3 safety cars in this race here. The first one came out at just as on the exit of Pepsi Max. The car got beached. This car's had to follow around behind a safety car. This was very valuable for the drivers. Of course, it was a very, very hot day at Manfeild. The guys would need to use that time to take in more liquid, talk to their pit crew through the radios, and also read the signboards. As the race restarted again, Nick Cassidy under control and leading the cars down into Toyota for the first time. So the race commenced after the safety car period. Nick Cassidy again getting a great start and leading this field. As you can see, the cars are very, very closely bunched before much longer another safety car period, with another car being hooked on the edge of the hairpin. Here's a unique shot of the cars racing round the track through the new Manfeild office as the cars take the restart for the remaining 12 laps. Nick Cassidy again still well in control, but all the cars all bunched up very well. With the final lap to go, Nick Cassidy took the last lap board after an extraordinarily difficult 35 laps. So congratulations, Nick, 2013 New Zealand Grand Prix winner. Great effort, and thank you to the Toyota Racing Series team for bringing it here. The podium presentations made by Chris Amon and, of course, New Zealand Miss Grand Prix 2013. Nick Cassidy taking the laurels there from Claire Kirby. Of course, the champagne flies. Great effort, guys. Well deserved. And congratulations. We look forward to the 2014 Grand Prix.